Welcome to Becoming PowHERhouse, where we discuss the tough lessons I've learned while taking my two companies from negative revenue to over 7 figures. We'll talk about the raw and vulnerable truths about being boss, as well as tips and strategies you can implement immediately for better business results. I'm your host, Nicholle Overkamp, the founder and CEO of Wilcox Financial Group and PowHERhouse Coaching. You can see links and other resources in our notes. Don't forget to head over to PowHERhouseMoney.com to grab your free PowHER bundle for business and subscribe to our newsletter. Now, let's dive in to today's episode. Okay, my powerhouses, this episode is fantastic, and you are going to hear from a badass entrepreneur who started from literal scratch in 2020 and is about to hit $1 million in revenue in her business. Danielle Famble is a full-time voice actor with a performing background in musical theater and on TV. Her voice can be heard in commercials, corporate narration, political ads, explainer videos, documentaries, and much more. In addition to being an accomplished voice actor, she has developed a passion for finance. Love her. Side note, she's a client and she has soared in that space by literally attacking the very thing she was afraid of, and entrepreneurship and public speaking. She's also appeared on several other podcasts, spoken at a Voiceover conference, and talked a lot about business, entrepreneurial mindset, sharing her journey and inspiring others. And Danielle's main goal is to educate and empower other women and girls. So please dive in and enjoy my interview with Danielle. All right. So my powerhouses, I'm so stoked for this podcast interview. First of all, I think it is our first in-person podcast interview, which is super fucking awesome. And Danielle doesn't even live in Buffalo, New York. She came here from New York or New Jersey, technically, but I'm geographically challenged.
The New York City area.
Same deal. Yeah. It's far. It's not here. Super stoked. And what is also really cool about this is Danielle is a voice actor. So she's kind of famous as well. And she's been a financial planning client for a really long time. So you're a badass business owner. Wasn't always that way, which we're going to get into that story. Yeah. You've been a planning client for a while, which has been really special for me because I've gotten this incredible insight into where we started and where you are now. Yeah. I don't even recognize that old Danielle. So welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
So can you just give everyone a little bit of background history from where it all began, because you are this person now who speaks on big stages, who is the top percentile of the industry for voice actors, right? Yeah. And this has happened over a 4-year progression?
Roughly about a 4-year time span from the height of the pandemic, 2020, until now. So about 4 years.
Okay. So 4 years, kids, which means that it's kind of overnight success, but not really, because you busted your ass and you were grinding it out. But it's possible because you didn't come from a handout.
Nope.
Or the industry. Your family's not in the biz. No. So shit. Do tell, my friend. Okay. How'd you do it?
Okay. So long story short, or backstory. Yeah. I am a voice actor now, but I moved to New York City about 16 years ago to pursue musical theater. That was really what I wanted. I wanted Broadway or bust, no holds barred. I wanted to be on somebody's stage. And so that was sort of what I studied in college. That's what I wanted to do. And ever since I was a little kid, I knew that I wanted to be an actor. So I moved to New York City to be a working actor, but it turned out different than how I expected it to. But basically in 2018 or so, I was doing the working actor thing. I was waiting tables at nighttime.
Yep.
I had a retail day job, and I was doing like auditions and classes in between both. And I went home to Texas. I'm from Texas originally. I went home to Texas to see my family. And on the flight back, I got sick on the airplane. I'll spare you the disgusting details, but I was basically throwing up every hour on the hour on the plane.
Place
and
ever.
Then exactly the worst place ever, because you're stuck. And then I was like at home, and I was really, really sick. And I didn't have any family nearby. It was just me. So I ended up taking myself to the emergency room. And as I was laying on the emergency room, I'm telling you, they rolled a dead body like past me. I was like, it was just like a very low time in my life. And I ended up like, I was thinking to myself, okay, I don't know how much this is gonna cost.
Yeah.
But I know I don't have it. So it really made me think like I was a young, like early 30s something, and I could not keep myself financially like safe from even an accident happening to me, like something that was not at all my fault. And it was hard because I knew that like my parents couldn't financially help me out. My apartment in New Jersey is basically the same as their house in Texas, so it wasn't like they could financially help me pay the bills or anything. And so what I did was I started to really understand like, why don't I have money? What's going on? I'm getting paid, but like, where's it going? I didn't have an infrastructure in place. So I did what I know to do, which is like break my problems down step by step. So I took an index card and I wrote down on each index card what bills that I owed, what debts did I have. And it was mostly student loans and like a little bit of credit cards. But I was raised with a healthy fear of credit cards, so I didn't have credit card debt. And I just basically started tackling each one. I read Ramit Sethi's book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which is a really good book that really talks a lot about like automating. So I started to automate all of my payments. I was still like individually sending out my rent check because I was too scared. So as I was doing that, I was also saving $100 a week from like my waiting tables job. And eventually I saw that my debts were going down and I had money in savings, which made me feel safer so that I could take risks or just do whatever I needed to do. Cut to 2020, the height of the pandemic, March of 2020, I checked my bank account. I have $10,000 in an emergency fund. And I'd been wanting to get into voiceover for a while, and everything was shut down, and everyone was at home. And so what you needed to have, you could have at home to record all of those commercials. And I had the time and I had enough money in savings that I could take a leap and take like this chance. And that's exactly what I did. And it was, Black Lives Matter was really happening like at that time. And a lot of companies were looking for African American voice talent. And I had the training from being an actor. I had the financial buffer to be able to take the risk. I was at home and I had like everything that I needed. So I just kept auditioning and booking jobs, and it just snowballed into the full-time job that I have now, which is kind of amazing.
It's so amazing. I love it. And I think that just speaks volumes too, to like the power of financial security and knowing that you can do exactly what you want to do in the direction of your dreams and not be stressing about money, right? And I think, I'm not sure of the exact statistic, but so many businesses fail, not because their business sucks, it's financial stress, right? And so that in itself is huge. And, and walk us through a little bit. So you started auditioning at the perfect time too. I think it was probably the perfect storm for you in terms of just the universe coming and all of the things lining up and you being able to do that. But getting into your industry is, every time there's something going on, he like calls and interrupts, and it's always ridiculous. So in any event, squirrel. So where was I? Financial security, getting into the industry as a whole. Like I want to know like specifically, how did you overcome like the challenges in front of you? Like every time that I'm guessing, and I don't want to make an assumption, I'll let you share your own story, but like you're probably told no, like a fucking lot. And so how did you start to like gain traction and remain super gritty? Like what were some of the things that you did, told yourself, like, because I think that's so important to hear for some other women too, like trying to break out into these really hard industries where I think initially we just tell ourselves, it's so oversaturated, who cares? Or I don't have a chance at that. And that was not your mindset.
Yeah. The thing about voiceover is even when I wasn't pursuing voiceover, I knew how challenging it was to get into that industry, because before the pandemic, it's just a hard industry to get into. And I remember auditioning and trying and it just not working. And then I was taking classes and got a little bit more traction that way. So I would say for me, it was getting into it via education, because I needed to know how to act in front of a microphone that's different than acting on stage. Totally different. I needed to know how to use my equipment, because during the pandemic, we were all sheltering in place. So it wasn't like you go into a studio where you have an engineer and you have somebody who can basically do things for you. So I needed to learn how to do that. And I found my tribe. Like there was a Facebook group and Facebook community of established voice actors who, I will say, the voiceover industry, they're very kind people and will just help you out just to help. So finding people who can help you with what you don't know and finding a mentor, like my mentor, Maria Pendolino, is like one of the reasons I came to Buffalo.
She's the best.
She's literally the best person ever. And she's like one of the reasons why I've been able to have a lot of success is because she is really just helped answer any questions and like introduce me to the right people. And she introduced me to you. And, you know, it's just one of those things where you have to find a mentor or find a friends group or find like a circle of friends and learn through education. I would say that would be my mindset, was really just like, how do I figure out what I don't know? I'm a very curious person and I just want to learn.
That's part of your brilliance, truly. Like you're always asking phenomenal questions and like digging in, and you're just not scared. Like
I am scared.
But
I do it scared.
Yeah, you do it scared, but you get overwhelmed. You have anxiety. Hopefully, you're okay with me like sharing that. Like like you've got all the human feels, but like the unique thing about you, and I think probably all of us entrepreneurs, is like you just fucking go for it anyways, right? You're like, wow, this is terrifying, but I'm doing it. How am I doing this? How did I get here? I can't even believe my eyes. Like, look at my bank account. Like all of those things, and you're like, oh my goodness, some of it feels like magic, but it's because you had like this unwavering faith in yourself. And I think, that is probably the most significant game changer for me too, was like having the right people who supported me, believed in me when I didn't believe in me, but then asking for help. Like you're way smarter, way quicker than me. Like it took me at least 6 years to even ask for help in the first place. Right. And once I did though, like, shit,
it's amazing how quickly things start to
everything exploded. When I finally like invested in a coach and got a mentor and like wasn't afraid to appear like super incompetent, right? And I was listening to something recently. I have turned my sound off like 10 times today and it keeps turning itself back on. I don't know how to use an iPhone, kids. So but like that unique ability to ask questions and ask for help is statistically what the smartest people do very well. Right? Yeah. So the smartest people that are probably phenomenally good at asking for help, knowing what they don't know, and in seeking that. Right. And I was even just listening to something the other day where Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, they arguably like the two smartest, most brilliant investing minds in our history yet today. And when people brought them challenges, ideas, things, companies to invest in, they either did it or they had I don't know enough pile. And they would immediately dismiss it instead of having that like false ego and trying and continue to ask more really good questions. And
And I've witnessed you do that. I mean, shoot, just in working with me with your own financial planning, watching you interview different accountants, which by the way, I think we should talk about that. And I'm sure like that emulates itself. You're doing it in business too. And when you're vetting the right agents. And so, and actually let's, if you don't mind, like talking about finding the right finance pros, because you haven't always had the right team on your side. And I was having a conversation the other day, and this comes up all the time. And I think maybe I yelled at you a little bit about it too at some point.
I'm sure you did.
Of like, but
right.
like when you hire a professional, they're working for you. And so what that means is you need to ask them questions until you understand and you get it, but also make sure they're working for you in your benefit for what you need and where you're going. And it's perfectly natural to outgrow people or have different seasons. And you went through a lot, I think, in navigating that, and especially now even landing with the accounting firm that you're with, because you decided like, hey, wait a minute, like something isn't working here, and then building up the confidence to ask questions, because I've had so many conversations with other like women crushing it, like multi-millions of dollars in revenue each year with their business, and they're terrified to ask their CPA a question because they're afraid that they're bothering them, or they make them feel like they mansplain everything, right? And so can you just share, like, number one, like how did you vet your team, and then how has that been impactful for you, especially now that you have the tools to like just keep asking the questions and understanding your numbers, because you get your numbers now.
Yes. Yeah. So first of all, even knowing that I needed to bring in a team in business, because as an actor originally, the idea for me, at least being a stage actor, it was really that like you are the actor and everybody else does stuff for you and sort of helps you out, not like you're running a business and you are guiding what's happening. So realizing that I needed a CPA, I needed financial education, I needed to make sure that like all of my information was readily available to me, however that needed to happen. So once I hit a certain amount of money annually in my business, it was really clear to me that one, I didn't know what I was doing, and two, I really needed help and I needed to find someone. So just getting to like that place, that threshold, actually hitting my first six figures, getting to that threshold really kind of made me say like, I don't know the answer to a lot of the questions that are coming around tax time. And so I need somebody who can help me synthesize this information. Then I worked with some people who were well known in my industry, but the relationship didn't really work out because of really mostly communication, which is a really big deal when you're looking for someone who can help you with your money. Is if you cannot talk with them, then you're not probably going to understand what it is that what's going on with your business and your money. I always think to myself, I have the ability to make this money, so I should have the ability to understand this money. And working with that firm for about a year or so, it was just the communication was not there, and I was getting frustrated. You were getting frustrated, and I couldn't answer your questions because I didn't understand. So then I knew it was time to find someone else, and I interviewed and vetted several different firms and found the ones that I'm working with now, who subsequently it's a woman firm, like sister-owned firm. So like all of my money team, they're women, which I appreciate, because I think there's a way that we think and communicate as women that it's really very helpful. There's not mansplaining. It's just it makes sense to me. So I remember asking them, because it was mostly about wanting to get into real estate investing. And so I found someone who knew about real estate investing who could also help me understand my numbers. And I just needed to kind of get involved and ask questions. And when something came up and I didn't understand, me feeling emboldened enough to say, I don't understand. Can you explain that to me again? Why is this like this? And the other part that actually was really helpful was me actually getting into the weeds of my own numbers. So getting into QuickBooks, making sure that I'm putting in like, oh, this was a certain category, like categorizing things in QuickBooks, because I used to think that, oh, that's someone else's job and they'll just handle it. But I have to oversee what's going on. And if I don't understand it, then when they bring to me what they've done, I have no clue what it is. And then I start looking at big numbers with commas and zeros, and it makes me feel anxious that someone else is doing something with my money that I don't understand.
Yeah, that's huge. You have to understand the numbers even when you're delegating to a pro. And now that you do, and you understand your profit and you understand the whole picture, right? Like everything that you're doing, you bought real estate, which is really cool in your hometown. It's going to be a rental property and income producing, and you're maxing out your 401k. Like you're doing all these really cool things. And because you know the numbers, old Danielle would have like all this anxiety about, oh my gosh, I feel like a personal shit show. Like I don't know if I can spend money. I feel really anxious when I buy stuff for myself. And you hoarded all this cash in your business, right? Which also isn't always like getting you the best return. But the fun part about this and you knowing your numbers and understanding the numbers and keeping more profit and building the systems is that you now also can buy really cool, fun shit without feeling guilty. And it's so good. Like let's even hear the story about this gorgeous sweater.
So this is a Kate cashmere cardigan. Say that 3 times fast. And I saw it on the Real because I like to do a lot of I like a deal. Okay. And if I find
money bitch at heart,
if I find a deal, I'm like, I'm going to go after it. And I saw this sweater on the Real, and I was like, why is it so expensive for a sweater? It makes no sense. I hadn't seen it in person, hadn't tried it on, didn't know anything about it. And it got sold. I didn't buy it. Okay. For like half what it should be, like 50% off on the Real. So then I do more research on this sweater, and I see that it's a cashmere sweater, which I love cashmere. I mean,
we know.
Hello. I love it. And I just learned a lot more about it and saw how expensive it is. And I was just traveling. It was a business trip, and I happened to be in Ireland. Well, if you're going to be in Europe, you might want to go shopping. So I started Googling like what different malls or whatever were in the area. And I saw that they had one left of this sweater that I wanted at full price, but then you still get your VAT refund. So I feel like it's still a deal. And I go there and I'm looking for it, and they didn't have it like on the shelves at all. So I was asking one of the assistants, I was like, do you happen to have the sweater? And they said, no, it's sold out. It's sold out in the United States. It's sold out. So they said, well, we'll just go in the back and just double check. So they go back, they bring out one sweater, the last one they had left in my size, in the color that I wanted. I tried it on. I did a happy dance, like while like trying it on, and then I showed my friends, and I was doing a happy dance, and they were doing a happy dance, and I was like, I'll take it. This sweater is more expensive. Should I even say how much it is?
Yeah, go for it.
This sweater is $2,000. Yeah. Old Danielle would have been like, absolutely not. But I knew that I had enough money to pay for it.
Then it works.
And I had enough money to not only pay for it, but also save and invest the equivalent amount of this sweater. And I did that before I left. So I feel like for my personal rule, if you can buy it twice, then you can buy it. So I bought it, and the fact that I can afford a $2,000 sweater it's actually like amazing to me. It's amazing to me because I was in 2018 on a hospital bed, not sure how I was going to be able to pay the bill. And like, here I am in a freaking $2,000 sweater.
And it's so for anybody who's just listening to the audio version, I gotta say, like, it is. I saw Danielle. I walked into our own meeting where she's at my office late. So there's that. But like saw her and I was just like, oh, this sweater is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Like, tell me more. It's camel. It's got these like wide bell sleeves. Like it's just a classic and it's awesome. And I think, there's say what you will about like shopping, spending money, whatever, but like there's so much power behind knowing that you can afford exactly what you want because you earned it and you busted your ass. And like, it's so gratifying to just be like, yes.
Yeah.
Like this feels good. And whether it's a sweater or anything else that like, you know, you value, cherish, whatever, but it's like, it's super validating. And what I have found too is that when I do that, it's like this little pump of adrenaline, like, ooh, I got to go do more. Like this feels good. I'm able to treat myself. What's next? Like how, you know, and it's almost like motivation to continue growing the business. And, you know, and I'm sure there's so many women that can relate to this too, is that like, if you are wearing a boss outfit, you feel more confident. And you do better in business. And so there's a lot to that too. And it's so much deeper than like the superficial appearance thing too, you know?
It's got
I have found that through and through. It's nothing to do with the price and all to do
how it
with
makes
like,
you feel.
You just bought something you loved and you didn't have to worry about the price tag. Like that's the ticket. To be able to do that and recognize that I grew to this place to be able to do it it's just mind-boggling to me. Like, but I know what I did. I know how I worked hard to get where I'm at today. And it doesn't need to be a sweater. It can be like taking your family on a vacation, or it can be a handbag that you really like, or it doesn't even need to be tangible. It could just be the fact that you own your home and that home is everything to you. Whatever that is, that like thing that's yours, if you can do a little bit every single day in your life, in your business, to get you closer to that, it really does make the hard work worth it. 100%. Like, because it's hard. It's like, there's no joke about that, you know? And so like, I would actually love to know, like, what was the hardest thing that you've had to like go through, overcome in business? Like, what was that? If you have like one moment that comes to mind,
it's, I think, just running into walls and not knowing, like, it's the I don't know. I ended up hiring my assistant because I ran into enough walls and I didn't know enough, and I knew that I needed help, and figuring out how to bring in help for this thing that I was doing 100% of the work for, and how to delegate and how to trust that somebody else is going to know how to do it as well as I do. It's just like running into the things that I truly look at and I go, I have no idea. I don't know. And usually that's with like anything legal in my business, anything financial in my business, or like operations where I just can't do it all. It's humbling to get to the place where you're like, I don't know. Like I built this thing and I don't know how to fix it, how to make it grow, how to make it go faster or better. And then being humble enough to go to someone and say like, I don't know, can you please help me? That's hard.
It's so hard. And I think, you know, the smartest thing that I've ever done was hire people smarter than me. And that's really scary, right? It's really scary because I don't know if you ever felt like this, but I was like, oh my God, what if they find out I don't know? What if they find out I'm not like that smart, you know? And it's like, and now I just own it. And I'm so appreciative that they're brilliant at all the things that I have no business doing, because I just, but that's the point, right? And being able to lead that, but it is so scary, and it's almost like you have to kind of like jump out on this like limb and hope for the best. And then a mentor told me this once too, and it was like, you know, Nicholle, like you have to have this like allowance for a margin of error. Like if they mess up, that's okay. Like you have to plan for that to happen and level set your expectations so they can get better. And to me, that was actually even scarier than hiring the people. It was like, oh my God, they're not going to do it my way. They're not going to do it the way I would do it. But they did it better, you know, and that is in itself is humbling, because you're like me, like we like to control all the things and want to do all the things. And it's like, well, you can't grow if you're doing all the things, touching all the things. And then, you know, if somebody can do it better, give it away. And that for me, like, so hard. And then to learn to delegate, and then to not micromanage and not piss everybody off. Like, you know, that was a curve too, you know,
Yeah.
and I know you're dealing with that.
It's the going from doer to leader.
Mm-hmm.
That part is incredibly challenging because you did it. You built
Mm-hmm.
it. You know what it is.
Yep.
And then you have to take it out of here and you have to put it from your brain into somebody else's brain, but you have to describe it and also trust that they know how to do it or they understand what you're saying, but also not micromanaging people. I mean, that's a skill in and of itself because especially if you are a control freak, like you want to know and you want to make sure and you want to see. But I had a mentor who, right before I hired my assistant, was just like, piece of advice to you. Just understand that this person is probably not going to do it the way you do it, and that's okay. They'll probably figure out other ways to do what you're doing. That's actually a good thing. And you don't want them doing it exactly as you did, because then they're iterating and they're learning. And that's actually like growing your business. They're doing that for your business. And that's a great thing. So let it go. And that was one of the hardest things. It's easy to hear it and it's hard to do it in practice.
100%. Yeah. And it's almost like you have to you can say all these things, but until you experience it and observe it, it's it almost, you just have to go mess up, right? And figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think that same, and for anybody who's struggling with that, you've got to pull the trigger and really understand your zone of genius and where to go with that. And now you've done that. And we were just talking actually before we hit record, and you're like, well, my business revenues, exceeded my wildest dreams.
It has. It has.
I don't even believe my eyes. And I know you don't, because every time we have a review meeting, you're like, how is that much money in my account? What is happening? Is this really mine? It feels like, phantom money or monopoly money, whatever. And it's that, for me, is the coolest thing, just knowing how far you've come and what you've, everything you have, you've built, literally from zero, which is my dream scenario, right? But I want to know, you need bigger goals. So I'm kind of putting you on the spot right now because we haven't really talked about this right now. But because you've already exceeded your wildest dreams, wildest dreams need to get bigger. So what is what's next for you? What's your big dream?
This past year, I spoke in front of a conference, and it was really about business and how to run your voiceover business the way a CEO runs a company. And it was incredibly successful and people really loved it. And I got a lot of positive feedback. And one of the things that I've wanted to do is actually put myself out there more for public speaking. So that is my next big dream, is being not even just a speaker behind the mic, but a public speaker to really help women and women of color specifically to understand that they are worth it. They can build businesses beyond their wildest imaginations, and that it is doable. This is one of those things where I didn't know it was possible until I saw somebody else do it.
Yeah.
And they graciously let me in to see how the inner workings of their business and see that it's possible. I was having a conversation with someone who went to that talk, and they said, Danielle, my business is really starting to thrive. I'm getting new jobs and new bookings every single day. And it's just, all the marketing that I've been doing is finally paying off. And I didn't even know I could make this kind of money in voiceover. But when you told us how much you made in your talk, it made me realize that it's totally possible and doable. I didn't even know. So I think opening people's eyes to know what is possible, because if you can see it, you can achieve it. I really believe that.
Yeah.
So that part of it is my big goal. My next goal is to hire at least one other person for my team to help build a marketing machine for my business. So I'm not super as reliant on any one particular agent or manager or anything like that to bring in new roles and new clients and new work. And then my other goal is to we talked a little bit about this, that I have a property in Texas.
Yeah.
We've talked about wanting to build out more of a real estate portfolio. I just want to have I want to have money coming in different places.
Yeah.
So be that like public speaking or just like my own persona, what have you. I even started doing some YouTube videos, but like just getting comfortable with being seen has been like a huge personal goal of mine, because with voiceover, you are in a small padded room and you are not seen. Like I am meant to be heard, not seen. So really getting out there to be seen. And then the real estate portfolio, because I really want to understand how it works.
I love that. And what's so hilarious also about this like not seen thing is, again, for anybody not watching, like you look like a supermodel. So like, like bitch, shut up. So
what are you talking about?
Yeah, you can see your bags under your eyes, like I can't over here. But yeah, no, like it's all such a beautiful story and the transformation in that. And like what lights me up about your next goal is the impact part, right?
Yeah.
And the ability to make an impact and show other women what is possible, because you're 100% right. Like the only way that we did what we did is because we saw someone else doing it, right? And it's like you're giving permission for that next person, and who are we if not to make the next woman better, right? To give her that step up, leg up, whatever the expression is. I always screw up, but I love that so much, and it's so needed. And I always have this like big belief that if you take your passion and what you love doing, you make an income at it, and then you can give back and make that impact. It's like the dream, and being able to live that through. And so I cannot wait to see this happen for you. I know it's going to. You have so much to share, and especially with what you're doing, and inspiring other women. And so, are you looking to, when you're speaking to these other women, especially because for whoever is listening here, people are always looking for speakers, right? Especially speakers that kick ass and rev up a room and engage. It's hard to find someone who isn't like a snore fest. From my personal experience going to all of these conferences all over the place, like I've been disappointed very a lot.
Oh, no.
But like then there's those ones that you're like, fuck, like I love that story. I relate to that. Like that is good. And you're good because you're human, you're relatable, you're humble. Like I know how incredible you are. And so where are you looking to speak to, just specifically women in your industry or women of color who are looking to get out there on their own, do their own thing? Like who's your ideal target that you're really looking to light that fire for?
Yeah, I would love to speak to young women, like either just out of college or at the precipice of about to graduate and going into the working world. I also would love to speak to young women of color who are first, second, third year into their careers, but also just like the any woman who's kind of struggling in their business to make it to the next step. So that really can just be, I don't even know really. I haven't thought that deeply into it, if I can be honest with you.
All right.
But I want to be able to make an impact for people who are really looking for help in that moment, because sometimes if you're not ready to receive it, it may not resonate with you. So I'm really thinking about people who really are looking for inspiration and help to get to whatever the next step is, and that could be at any stage of your life.
100%. Love it. Ready to receive. Cool. Well, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
I love you. Yes. So what is one message that you would like to leave all the women listening with? And it can be anything. It can be your favorite quote, a message. What is one thing that you would just like to tell all the other women listening?
I would say, if you have, this might sound woo-woo, but if you have a dream and if you have something that you're really trying to achieve in your life, find someone who has done it. Find some way to make it real to you. If you need to find that person as a celebrity or a person in your neighborhood, find someone to make it real to you, because when you see it, you can achieve it, is so true. And make sure that you can like see yourself in that space. Visualize you being successful, whatever success means to you. That it's very personal, but figure that out for yourself and do something every single day to get 1% better at getting to be, that person that you're trying to be. The incremental growth really is actually, I think, how you get there.
That's like, I could not have said that better myself. There were about 3 big points in there that I hope everyone took notes on, because it's so true. Like 1%, but like just do the thing. Take action, do the thing, find the person, and stop questioning yourself. Like you're capable and you can absolutely achieve it. And so hold that belief. You're living proof. You're crushing it. And I can't wait to see what you do over the next 12 months.
Thank you.
You're going to be on more stages. I just know it.
Okay.
It's happening. We're like putting it into the universe.
It's gonna happen.
That works pretty well for you. So
it does.
feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I will share all of your social media handles and how people can connect with you right in the show notes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, my friends.
Thanks, Nicholle.
And until next time, my powerhouses, continue to be courageous.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Becoming PowHERhouse. You can find all of the links to our site and resources in the show notes. Let's connect on Instagram at PowHERhouse Money, and don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at PowHERhouseMoney.com. Remember, I want to connect with you. I want to hear your thoughts and help you with all the challenges you're having. So engage, send me a DM. And of course, if you're loving this podcast, let us know and go ahead and hit the subscribe button and leave a review.